children were not my children, but my siblings. That was gross. Yeah. Fans are sick. No, I'm just joking. I love you guys.
Justin Baldoni has found himself at the center of intense public attention following the media storm surrounding Blake Lively's arrest after an alleged confrontation between the two that escalated rapidly. What began as a dispute reportedly grew into a situation serious enough to involve law enforcement, shocking fans and industry observers alike. The unexpected conflict has sparked widespread debate about how public figures, both long admired for their positivity, philanthropy, and carefully maintained public images, could become entangled in such a high-profile dispute. Blake Lively, known for her vibrant online presence and charitable initiatives, is now facing heightened scrutiny, with her actions closely examined by both supporters and critics. Meanwhile, Baldoni has maintained a notably calm and measured stance. Legal filings reveal that he initiated the lawsuit, presenting a perspective that differs sharply from the narrative circulating publicly. According to the documents, the situation extended well beyond a minor disagreement, carrying emotional and reputational consequences significant enough to prompt him to seek formal legal action rather than resolve matters privately. Although Baldoni has built a reputation for empathy, open dialogue, and thoughtful communication, the filing suggests he believed all reasonable attempts at private resolution had been exhausted. The lawsuit seeks compensation for professional disruptions and potential reputational harm stemming from the incident. At the same time, it emphasizes a desire to handle the matter within ethical boundaries, focusing on protecting his own reputation while avoiding unfair characterization of Lively. The conflict appears to have deeper roots than a single confrontation, with suggestions that tensions may have been building over time, possibly connected to overlapping creative or philanthropic endeavors. Given that both individuals are widely recognized for their charitable work, the public nature of the fallout has come as a surprise to many. Official documents describe a private disagreement that escalated to the point of police involvement, ultimately resulting in Lively's arrest. Throughout the unfolding situation, Baldoni's response, as reflected in the legal language, has emphasized restraint and de-escalation rather than public criticism. The tone of the filing aligns with the composed and empathetic persona he has projected in interviews and public appearances over the years. He has expressed regret that the dispute reached a level where both personal well-being and professional reputations were placed at risk, while advocating for civility and resolution grounded in the values he has consistently promoted. In contrast, Blake Lively's position appears more uncertain, particularly beyond what is outlined in the legal documents. Once widely praised for her witty social media presence, charitable advocacy, and relatable on-screen image, she is now facing intensified scrutiny as attention turns to the legal proceedings. Although she has not publicly addressed the incident, the filings reference noticeable shifts in her tone during private exchanges with Justin Baldoni, suggesting a breakdown in communication that ultimately led to a confrontation serious enough to require intervention. Sources cited in the complaint indicate that stress may have been building over time, possibly connected to overlapping creative ventures or philanthropic projects into which both had invested considerable passion. According to the lawsuit, the final encounter brought simmering tensions to the surface, transforming a private disagreement into an open conflict. The documents portray Baldoni's initial response as calm and measured, describing attempts to diffuse the situation before it escalated to the point of professional involvement and formal legal action. Rather than framing the dispute as the result of a single moment, the filing characterizes it as the culmination of mounting pressures between two high-profile figures whose reputations, personal commitments, and ethical priorities collided in ways that could no longer be managed behind closed doors. The legal complaint further indicates that Baldoni believed a structured legal approach was necessary to establish firm boundaries and reduce ongoing strain, emphasizing that his objective extended beyond financial compensation. Repeated references highlight his desire to protect long-term, collaborative, and philanthropic commitments that may have been affected by the dispute. Emotional distress is also acknowledged, underscoring the personal toll the conflict has taken. Even so, the tone attributed to Baldoni throughout the filing remains steady and composed, focused on achieving a fair resolution and restoring mutual respect. Supporters familiar with his public advocacy and emphasis on open dialogue note that this response aligns with the values he has consistently expressed in his career. Meanwhile, Lively's followers, accustomed to her upbeat and playful online persona, have not seen visible signs of strain on her platforms. Some observers suggest her silence may reflect a decision to allow the legal process to unfold without public commentary, a contrast to the lively image she typically projects. The filing describes a private conversation that allegedly escalated into a physical confrontation, prompting law enforcement involvement and an arrest that propelled the matter into the public sphere. Baldoni's reaction, as outlined in the documents, is depicted as cooperative and transparent, with detailed information provided to authorities from the outset. The complaint repeatedly underscores the real-world consequences of reputational harm, noting how quickly public controversy can overshadow years of charitable and creative contributions. At the same time, it makes clear that the legal action is not presented as an act of retaliation, but rather as an effort to address the situation formally and protect the integrity of the professional and philanthropic platforms involved, rather than pursuing retaliation. The filing outlines a deliberate and legally structured strategy intended to ensure accountability without escalating hostilities. It stresses a thoughtful approach focused on responsibility, dignity, and the preservation of professional and philanthropic integrity amid an unusually public controversy. Additional sections address concerns about the lasting impact of the dispute, suggesting that Baldoni carefully weighed not only the immediate conflict but also the broader consequences for long-term commitments and public trust. The documents further highlight the potential ripple effects on brand partnerships, collaborative ventures, and industry relationships, beyond the emotional strain described. The complaint notes practical implications that could influence future projects and charitable initiatives, closely tied to each individual's public image. As for how Blake Lively may ultimately respond, the available materials offer no clear answer. While she has previously demonstrated an ability to navigate serious topics with humor and charm, the gravity of the current dispute appears to limit opportunities for her typical light-hearted engagement. Sources referenced in the filing have remained publicly silent, leading to speculation that any formal statement may come only as the legal proceedings progress. Some portions of the complaint allude to the possibility of private mediation or a negotiated settlement, though no timeline has been confirmed and public attention remains intense. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni continues to maintain a steady and composed public presence. His online platforms remain centered on mindful living, charitable initiatives, and creative collaborations, reflecting an effort to preserve normalcy and uphold the values he has long promoted. This consistency stands in contrast to the serious allegations described in the filing and reinforces his apparent preference for resolving the dispute through formal legal channels rather than engaging in extended public exchanges. Observers have expressed particular surprise at Lively's arrest, noting that her prior public record contained no signs of confrontational behavior, which has only deepened curiosity about how the situation escalated. Overall, the dispute represents an unexpected turn for two high-profile figures who were widely believed to share at least a cordial professional relationship. The circumstances raise broader questions about the pressures that accompany prominent careers, especially when overlapping schedules, philanthropic commitments, and creative collaborations intersect. According to the filing, tensions had been building quietly over time, and without early resolution. Those accumulated strains ultimately converged in a way that neither side could manage. Privately, from Justin Baldoni's perspective, his response was centered on even though the public record offers limited detail about the specific steps he took in the moment. What is documented, however, portrays him as composed and methodical, carefully recording the incident and adhering to established procedures. The filing presents this approach as consistent with the values he frequently promotes in public conversations: responsibility, accountability, and measured action during conflict. At the same time, speculation continues about what may have led Blake Lively to behave in a way described as out of character. Known for her advocacy in areas such as children's welfare, environmental initiatives, and community support, the allegation that she was involved in a confrontation requiring law enforcement intervention stands in stark contrast to the polished, charitable image she has long maintained. According to the complaint, miscommunication and growing frustration gradually intensified until neutrality was no longer possible, and by the time authorities became involved, the situation had reached a point that required formal legal steps. In the aftermath, Baldoni's stated objective focuses on seeking compensation for emotional distress and reputational damage while also reinforcing professional boundaries and preserving personal dignity. The documents repeatedly emphasize fairness, empathy, and accountability, suggesting his motivation is rooted less in anger than in a desire to restore balance to both his personal and professional life. The episode has stunned many fans, as both figures had previously built careers marked by positive press, philanthropic efforts, and light-hearted public engagement, making the sudden emergence of a public legal dispute particularly jarring. Observers note that it remains uncertain whether a single triggering event caused the fallout or whether cumulative tensions over time played a significant role. The filing leans toward the latter interpretation, implying that prior unresolved issues contributed to the escalation. Baldoni's continued emphasis on empathy and resolution beyond financial compensation reinforces his long-standing public commitment to understanding and respectful treatment, even under significant pressure. Lively, however, has yet to present her account publicly, leaving a noticeable gap in the narrative and prompting questions about whether she will challenge the claims, offer clarification, or provide her own explanation if the matter proceeds. Further, in court, the implications of the incident reach well beyond the two individuals at the center of it. Industry insiders note that conflicts of this magnitude can disrupt production schedules, delay brand partnerships, and complicate charitable initiatives. Agents, managers, and collaborators are often reluctant to finalize major commitments while uncertainty lingers, cautious about investing time and resources until stability is restored. In that sense, the filing portrays more than a personal dispute. It outlines a high-pressure environment, shaped by miscommunication and the delicate balance between private conduct, professional obligations, and public perception. It serves as a reminder that even widely respected public figures can face serious consequences when private tensions spill into the public sphere. The stakes are particularly high given both individuals' extensive involvement in philanthropic work. The filing suggests that prolonged conflict could disrupt initiatives and causes that depend on their advocacy and visibility, adding urgency to resolving the matter efficiently. This dimension extends the impact beyond reputation management, touching on communities and organizations that may be indirectly affected. Baldoni's handling of the aftermath is presented as deliberate and measured. According to the documentation, he has issued detailed statements, retained legal counsel, and maintained communication with appropriate parties while avoiding inflammatory public commentary. This approach reflects an effort to separate personal matters from public spectacle and to remain aligned with the principles of compassion and accountability he has long emphasized. The filing indicates that the situation escalated to a level